Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Premier League predictions now for match week 28. We are finally here. The back end, the run in to the end of the season is here. There's a top four race. There's a top title race. There's a bit of a relegation battle forming as well. Absolutely cannot wait for these last 10 games here. And last week, well, it delivered as well. Some massive results, some massive games, close games, not too many surprise results. And as such, my points reflected that. I came into last week with 166 of our prediction points. Added 7 more, so left the game week with 173 prediction points after 27 match week. So absolutely will take that. Big match week here coming up, a lot of big games, so it could get tough this week. But I'm looking once again for 7-8 points of our prediction points. If you're somehow new around here and don't know how the point system works, it's 3 points for the correct scoreline, 1 point for the correct result, and obviously 0 for neither. But very interested in this week here. It's huge games at the top of the table, a title decider in many regards. You've got a top 4 battle with 2 teams going after it there. And then some big gains for the guys at the bottom of the table as well to try and help keep their chance of survival alive. So all over the table there's some massive games. And now I think towards the back end of the season, every game is going to become a big game. Before we get into it, guys, if you wouldn't mind liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and also pressing that post notification bell, that would be much appreciated. Let's cut the crap here and let's get straight into the predictions. Our first game of the weekend is Manchester United, who host Everton. 2 teams that are in a bit of a dull spot at the moment. Obviously, Manchester United had a bit of a good run. They're up for all the Premier League, Player of the Month, Goal of the Month, and Manager of the Month awards. Goes to show how it was so good about the last 4 weeks, and the last 2 weeks have been tough. Back-to-back losses to Fulham and to Man City in the league, and quite convincingly beaten against Manchester City, and that really kills the confidence. City had more shots than United had possession. It was a try and attempted snatch and grab, and now in the week there's more rumours about new managers next season rather than the game coming up, and that says a lot about where United are. It feels like constantly in a cycle of a few good games and a lot of poor games following that. And obviously this game is very similar into the way that Fulham games have turned out. United look to have a lot of possession, look to dictate the play, but if they're not on it for minute 1, Everton can easily come here and snatch the big 3 points. You saw what Fulham did. They counter-pressed at certain points in times, caught United out, and obviously won it late when United threw numbers forward. But Bournemouth had done it, Fulham had done it, now going to Old Trafford. Don't give United all the respect. Go at them, attack them, counter-press them, put them under pressure, and United will crack because they just don't have the moment, the identity or mentality to go and win these closer games. So if Everton takes it close, forces it late, they could get a massive 3 points here. Obviously for them, it's important that great duo Tarkowski and Brandt at the back continue their good form. They're going to need a striker there to finish off chances. DCL or Beto, one of these guys need to be more clinical in front of goal, because last time out versus West Ham, they could have easily won that game and wrapped it up 3-0 at half time, but missing a lot of chances, not being clinical enough in front of goal really hurt them there, and it will hurt them here against Manchester United if they're not careful. So they need to make a good start, both sides. I think whoever makes the better of the 2 teams that are making a better start will go on and win this game. I think United is a bit of a bounce-back team. They'll get the result here. I'm predicting a Manchester United 2-1 win here. But don't get me wrong, Everton are going to make it tight. They're going to make it tough. And I think United will get a late goal to secure all 3 points. Our next game is towards the foot end of the table. It's in London. It's Crystal Palace hosting Luton Town. Palace obviously changed it up last time out versus Tottenham. They got beaten after 3 goals past the 70th minute mark from Tottenham. A more classic Tottenham performance, it feels like these days under Ange Postecoglou. But Oliver Glasner, I expect him at home to change his formula. I don't expect it to be as defensive as we saw versus Tottenham. We saw what they did in his first game in charge, which is playing a bit more possession, look to attack the spaces and be really compact in terms of defensive structure. I want them to keep that defensive structure, that same sort of 3-5 back formation. But then I want to see them utilise the likes of Ayew, Mateta and Eze up top there. It's a very dynamic trio. It screams goals and opportunities. So you've got to feed these guys chances. Don't be so negative. Don't be so pragmatic. Really give these guys opportunities to go. It's big for Oliver Glasner. I think they'll be safe this season, but I want to see what he can do with this squad here, how he can make the best out of it, because we'd like to see Elise and Eze both head away in the summer. So what can they do with other players around there? I think the midfield battle here in this game is going to be massive. Obviously, Luton, another great performance versus Aston Villa at home, but yet to get the 3 points against any one of these big 6 clubs. They've taken it to every single one of them. They haven't got the results. And I think that might cost them come the end of the season. They might get relegated purely on the fact they couldn't convert on scraping the odd point here and there or getting the 3 points when they arguably deserved it. And against Palace, I think it's a bit of a must-win for them if they want to stay up. Keep Palace in the sort of pack there for relegation and also push themselves closer to getting to safety here. For Luton, it's pretty simple. It's the Kabores, it's the Doughties, it's the Ross Barkleys, it's the Carlton Morrises up top. These guys from wide areas and getting Carlton Morris the ball to head home is going to be their way forward. I've loved their new style. As I said a few weeks now, they counter press really well. They put you under pressure really, really quickly. They get high up the pitch and pressure defenders in possession, and they can turn possession over very fast. And their transitional play is one of the best in the league, I think. And as such, it falls a lot on those defenders there in wide areas to whip the balls into the area. Ogbene, Kabore, Doughty, finding Morris, if Adebayo, finding Adebayo, and then utilising that great playmaking of Ross Barkley in that deep line position there. I think it's going to be a bit of a back and forth game. There's going to be goals in this one here. I'm predicting a 2-2 draw. I think Crystal Palace will be able to withstand Luton's pressure and get a big point for them this season. Next game is on the South Coast, is Bournemouth hosting Sheffield United in a massive chance here for Bournemouth to put themselves back up close to the top half of the table. We've seen how poor Sheffield United have been, battered 6-0 by Arsenal, fans leaving after the 15-minute mark. They're an absolute shambolic club, probably the worst since Derby, so that says a lot where they're at. The fact that Burnley equal points to them and still we see them so much lower than Burnley says a lot. Their football's poor, the players are poor, and the defensive structure is all over the place. And I think even Pep Guardiola couldn't come and fix this team. It's that much of a shambolic display of collaboration of players. It doesn't work. They need to go back down and refine themselves. They could cause some problems with Bournemouth, though. We know they've been hit and miss in the new year, but obviously got that result last time out versus Burnley. Solid moments. They had moments there they won the game with, and that might have to be the way forward for Bournemouth a little bit, especially against these poorer sides. They would try and exploit how high up the pitch Bournemouth get. They'll try and expose them over the back in terms of counter-attacking them. Bournemouth got to, live through this. This is their sort of teething process. They want to become a top half side that plays top half style of football. They have to go through these tough games here. And Sheffield United will definitely look to counter-attack this Bournemouth side. But I think when you've got Semenyo, when you've got Solanke, Kluivert, and Tavernier, these guys up front have been spectacular all season. And when they had a little downturn, a few of them are out of form. But we've seen in the last few weeks, especially against that Man City game where they lost 1-0, these guys are awesome. They're great players. They're pacey and they're prolific. And when they're prolific in front of goal, Bournemouth will win more games than not. I love what they've been doing in midfield with Christie and Cook. These guys are playing out of their skin in terms of holding up this possession style of football, playing through the lines and covering really well defensively. They've been ultra impressive for the Bournemouth side this year. I think they'll get another win here. It might be tough early goings, but once a few go in, they'll get the momentum and put Sheffield United to the sword. I've got Bournemouth winning this game 3-1. Our next game is Wolves host Fulham in what is a really massive game for that mid-table bunch, and only 3 points now separate these two sides. So it goes to show how even they are on paper. We obviously know how good Wolves have been at home this season, taking it to a lot of the big boys, put together most of their wins at home, and they play much more progressive and exciting football at home as well, playing through the lines. We know how good both teams are on the counter-attack, especially Wolves. They know how to transition that play from that deep sort of position, defensive line or holding midfielders into the forwards, into the wingers very, very fast. So both teams are very good at that. Wolves are almost the best in the league at that at times. They play so smartly through the lines. It's going to be a big game in terms of who's going to have possession. I expect at home you'd expect Wolves to have most of the ball, but they might sacrifice a bit of the ball to try and counter-attack and get at this Fulham back line, which in many regards has been quite strong recently. I know Nathan touched on it on the podcast. Anthony Robertson's had a great season. Tim Ream and Bassi at the back are a established and really great combination at centre-half as well. So they're really hard cookie to cracker at the moment, Fulham, and they're playing some great football. They beat Man United last 2 weeks ago. Last week out, another great performance versus Brighton, a 3-0 win. And once I say it all the time throughout the whole season, when they score goals, they win games of football. You can probably look back at it. Every time they scored 2 or more goals, they've basically won 80% of their games. And I think right now it's Muniz up front is doing the business, 5-5 for him. Bobby De Cordova-Reid's been a threat as well. Harry Wilson last time out was fabulous in terms of facilitating and scoring. And an underrated player for like all seasons, Andreas Pereira, and what he does for that number 10 position in terms of being a accountable defender, but also getting the play going forward, spraying the passes and playing through the lines, which allows Fulham to go and express himself with Willian and De Cordova-Reid and Wilson on the flanks there. So it's going to be a battle of two systems that like to counter-attack, that can be on the ball at times, but I think they most just share moments in this game. It's going to be a seesawing sort of momentum type affair. I'm going to edge Wolves 3-1 though, just because they're at home. We know how good they can play at home. I think Gary Neal will want to win this game. They're trying to establish themselves as a real sort of top 9, top 8 sort of club. And if they can go and do that, they put a big gap on Fulham here, a 6-point gap, which is almost hard to overcome in the last 9 games of the season. So I'm back in Wolves here. I think their football get them over the line, and their key players, Neto, Hwang, Mateus Cunha, these guys will be clinical enough, and they'll get the massive 3 points here. Our next game is in London. It sees probably the form team in the world, Arsenal, hosting Brentford. It's pretty simple at the moment. Arsenal are scoring goals for fun. They're breaking defences down. At the start of the season, we said, can they really break down the low block? Do they have the pace to break through the lines? And we thought not. But recently, they've sped up their play in the final third. They're clinical in front of goal, and they're embarrassing teams at the moment. 31 goals in the last 7 games. 6-0 win versus Sheffield United last time out. Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz at the moment, all performing at such a high level. The back four is established, it's locked away. It's very hard to go and attack that back four. And right now it seems that there's no real weakness anywhere on the park. Jorginho's come and done a great job in midfield. Martinelli did go down injured, but you got Trossard there who'll come in and do a great job as well. So I feel like this Arsenal team is at maximum strength at the moment, maximum momentum, and they want to keep that going. And unfortunately, Brentford for them, travelling away to Arsenal at the current form they're in, it's just a tough time to play them. Brentford were good second half versus Chelsea, but they're going to have to be perfect for the 90 minutes versus Arsenal to get anything out of this game. Good to seeing Vissa back alongside Tony up top. They're a great dynamic duo up there. They've looked more solid at the back. I love what Reguilon's doing and pushing on for that left wing back position as well. And obviously Roslev, an underspoken, underappreciated midfielder at the moment, is doing a great job in there as well. They've got some great talent, some great players, and we know how good of a coach Thomas Frank is. But in terms of their season, how they've played at times versus how Arsenal are currently playing, I can only see this game going one way. That's Arsenal winning it. I've got them winning this game 4-0, continuing that great goal-scoring form and kicking themselves on to another great run in towards a Premier League title this season. And unfortunately for Brentford, just the wrong time to play Arsenal. Our next game is at Villa Park. It's Aston Villa hosting Tottenham in a massive game. The game that hasn't been talked about enough. These two are going for top 4. Obviously, we assume from the coefficients that Champions League will be top 5 positions, but it means something to get that top 4 position. Aston Villa are currently there, 5 points clear of Tottenham in 4th. Obviously, Tottenham with a game in hand to play, but positions are what matter at the current point in time, this current point in the season. And Villa have been very good. I was hard on them a few weeks ago when they had a little bit of a downturn. Watkins wasn't scoring. They looked like they lacked that real cutting edge in the final third. They were conceding too many goals. But ever since then, they've made some hard-fought wins. Luton and Fulham have been key ones as well. Both teams away from home playing tough teams in good form at that current point in time and still getting over the line. And having that mentality in that game as well, late in the game, 2 substitutes, Diaby and Digne link up for the goal. That can show you right now where the mentality of Aston Villa are. They are very confident. They've got that winning mentality, that killer mentality. And you can tell, Unai Emery on the bench, the last 2 games, Forest, and then last time out versus Luton, he is energetic. He is in the game, egged up for it, and you can tell it means something to this team and something to this manager, and that's very good to see. They're all fighting this one direction there. They obviously have got the confidence to worry about. I think that right now they're all focused on Premier League and securing a top 4 spot. And at home, we know how good they can be. I think, look at the duo at the moment. Leon Bailey and Ollie Watkins look like the most powerful duo at the current point in time in the Premier League. You add in how good Douglas Luiz is at home as well. A more settled back line. Now Conte's come back as well. You're looking at a very strong team at the current point in time that's in decent form, playing some good football, and importantly believes. They've been very, very good in the last few weeks, and I think they can get the better of Tottenham here. Obviously, Tottenham have been good, but not great. They've had a few disappointing performances, but they managed to scrape over the line in games. I think their last 30 minutes in most games probably their best of any team going around. They outrun teams, they outwork teams. And versus Crystal Palace, you thought, is this going to be Spurs? Yeah, they're going to drop the points, but no, they kept going at it. You got Werner on the score sheet, you got Sonny on the score sheet. And it just seems like a team that will keep knocking the door. That's what Ange's system does. It just keeps knocking the door, keeps pounding away, and eventually the game will open up. And I feel like these two teams, the way they play their open style of football, Villa at home, Tottenham wherever they play, it's going to be a bit of a ping-pong, back-and-forth type affair. So whoever really wins this midfield battle will go on and win this game for me. And as much as I love the Tottenham midfield and they've played well this season, they're not quite at the level that Aston Villa are currently at the point in time. Yuri Tillemans hit the ground running since coming into that midfield. Douglas Luiz in there, John McGinn, they've all played at a very high level this season and are currently in some great form as well. So I guess if you're Aston Villa, try and shut down Maddison and the Pap Sars of the world. And then if you're Tottenham, you've got to stop Douglas Luiz and you've got to stop Yuri Tillemans and these guys and how they can free roam, find balls all over the park and play some incredible passes that split the lines. Two great strikers in Sonny and Ellie Watkins as well. So it's going to be an exciting affair. I'm going to give, as I said, Villa the edge, being at home and being in the better form in my eyes. I've got them winning this game at 3-1. Our next game is in London. It's West Ham hosting Burnley. Pretty straightforward, this one here. West Ham, despite not playing well versus Everton last time out, it was a true David Moyes type performance where they were clinical in front of goal, and Alphonse Areola at one end was absolutely ridiculous last week. Probably the goalkeeper of the week in terms of all the top 5 European leagues with the saves he was making. For West Ham, it's the same old again, though. When Paqueta's in that side, when you've got Bowman and Kudus all together, there's enough creation to create these chances and get the opportunities to score the goals. It's just they need to keep being clinical in front of goal, keep scoring these chances, and they'll keep winning football games. Obviously, Burnley started well versus Bournemouth, but fell away as the game went on. I think West Ham will sacrifice possession to Burnley and just let them make the mistakes so West Ham can counter and score these goals in this game here. We know how good West Ham are at home. The strong home record there. It's to turn a corner a little bit in terms of results winning. They're a results-based team. They're getting that in the last few weeks. I think they'll continue here as well. I've got West Ham winning this game 2-0 and just showing Burnley there's levels to this game. Our next game is back on the South Coast. It's Brighton hosting Nottingham Forest. And Brighton have been very disappointing the last few weeks. Only 2 wins in the last 8 Premier League games, relying on massive moments from Lewis Dunk, from their superstars. Now that Matoma's out, you're not getting his magic. Pascal Gross misses last time, didn't start, and you can tell they missed that in that midfield area there. They are a very young team. They're balancing Europa League football as well, and you can tell it's sort of hurting this side here. Not enough consistency, not enough great attacking football. A lot of possession in a lot of their games, but they lack that clinical edge and that pace in the final third to break through the lines. That was a big thing I touched on Arsenal early in the season. They didn't have enough pace to get through the back fours. Same thing here with Brighton. A lot of good possession, a lot of meaningless possession, and not be able to make that clinical pass to split open the back fours of the league. And with that as well, they're getting exposed defensively. They're playing with such a high line. They're playing so aggressive that they're getting exposed too easily on their counter-attack, and when they make poor plays in possession of the ball, we saw what Fulham did to them, chopped them apart, an easy 3-0 win, and Brighton didn't look likely throughout that game. Obviously, it's going to be a tough turnaround playing on the Thursday night and turning back up to play Nottingham Forest, because they're a team that plays such a high energy at the moment under Nuno at the moment. They haven't got quite the results they probably would have wanted, but they're playing at such a good level and being a threat to most teams. Obviously, last time out versus Liverpool took them all the way to the 99th minute. That goes to show you. Divock Origi had a few chances. We know Alanga can have a few chances. Tayo Wanyu is always dangerous as well. Hudson-Odoi. They've got pacey players that will get in behind the back four there and create chances. They're just going to be more clinical in front of goal. If Nottingham Forest are clinical, this game's going to be an absolute classic. I feel like there'll be goals at both ends, but it's important they're clinical. I think I back Nottingham Forest's midfield probably outwork and outplay the Brighton midfield, but I think Brighton will look to bounce back despite having Europa League on the Thursday night. I'm seeing it being a score draw. I've got 2-2 for this game here. Two teams that have leaky defences, but also can score some goals as well. So, as such, the 2-2 result for me. That now brings me to the big game of the weekend. Sunday, midday, Liverpool hosting Manchester City. I'm calling it the title decider. These are two teams at the peak of their powers in terms of their form. Obviously, Liverpool, a lot of players missing, but it look like Salah's coming back. So Bosley, Endo, McAllister in midfield. Luis Diaz is still playing as well, which is good for them. You got Coben Kelleher, the ginger noy at the moment for me. He's making some ridiculous saves. And then Conor Bradley at right back's doing a great job at the moment. Versus the Man City side who just dominated Manchester United last time out. 3-1, 27 shots versus 26% possession. Guys just show how dominant they were. They've done the last few weeks versus Bournemouth as well. They rode the punch a little bit. They rode Man United's punch with Rashford in the 8th minute, but they keep peppering away and they'll eventually score the goals. You've got Phil Foden in career-type form with his best return in a season currently. Kevin De Bruyne is just getting up to scratch. Rodri in there, he hasn't lost in almost half a century of games. Erling Haaland's goals will come as well. It just seems that this team is inevitable. They'll keep coming. But Liverpool at home, Liverpool in the form and they're currently in with Salah returning, I just like their chances. It's going to be a great midfield battle. Looking at Rodri versus Endo, McAllister versus De Bruyne. These midfield battles are going to be so interesting. Got Szoboszlai in there as well. whether Phil Foden ducks in centrally, whether John Stones plays in that central midfield as well. It's going to be a great midfield battle for both sides. Then if you got Doku going up against Bradley, Salah going up against Aka on the left-hand side there. So many great matchups, so many great players, and obviously Pep and Jurgen Klopp, the era they have now controlled over the last 5 to 6 years in the Premier League, it all comes down to this final game between these two great rivals. I'm caught the title result because I think whoever wins this game will go on to win the Premier League. Liverpool, with the momentum they currently got, if they get another big 3 points or even a draw versus Man City and keep that gap, I think they'll go on to win it. And obviously, if for Man City, they win this game, they go ahead of Liverpool, they continue the great momentum they're already on and go on and win the title. So these teams have been there, they've done it. You know, they're two superb teams, well coached, great players. It's just going to be a spectacle. Like, I'm watching here for the live stream. I can't wait for it. Obviously, if the first game's anything to go by, I'm absolutely pumped. It was a 1-1 draw in the first time around, but it was such great football. Those big moments and big chances at both ends, and all the big-time players show up. So I absolutely cannot wait for this one here. I'm going with Liverpool to win this one. I'm going for a lot of goals, surprisingly. In the last Premier League matchup between these two managers, I think it'll be a bit wild at times and chaotic. I've got Liverpool at home with the momentum they currently got, with Salah returning, getting a big win here. I've got Liverpool winning this game 3-2, and getting one hand on that title. Our last game is another big one. It's Chelsea hosting Newcastle. Chelsea, when you think they've got great form, they turn it around and disappoint you once again. Obviously, a great first half versus Brentford, but in second half, they were just not at the races, and lucky to get the equaliser there right towards the end of the game there to get a point against Brentford. But goes to show where they are at the current point in time. A real mid-table type team, inconsistent, injuries hurting them, performance has not been great, and as such, you just see 10th, 11th being the place they'll end this season on. They come up against team versus Newcastle, though, who look like they've turned a little bit of a corner. You got Joe Willock in midfield, who had size and ability on the ball, alongside Bruno Guimaraes and Lewis Miley, alongside players in there as well. Then obviously Isak returns last time out, gets back on the score sheet, and you've got that threat up front with Gordon, Isak, Almiron, or Jacob Murphy. There's goals there. There's midfield control there now, and the back fours look better and better as the weeks have gone on. So it looks like Newcastle getting back to where they were last season. Obviously nowhere near that, but the performances are starting to match what we saw last year, and that's exciting to see. I think, though, going to Chelsea is going to be hard work, but they've got what it takes. The way they dismantle Wolves is a positive for me, because how good Wolves have been and how consistent they've been this season. It's a good sign for Newcastle. I've got them win this game 2-1. I think their big-time players will show up, and we know how inconsistent the Chelsea players are. They put in a 45-minute performance, they're going to get blown out of the water by this Newcastle side, because at the moment, Newcastle get more of the professional unit, more of the winning unit, rather than Chelsea. With that being said, ladies and gents, that brings my prediction video for Matchweek 28 to an end. What a set of fixtures we've got here. Chelsea, Newcastle, Man City and Liverpool, Aston Villa and Tottenham. To Luton get a massive 3 points away from home at Crystal Palace. So many different question marks. Once again, the Premier League delivers once again. We've had some great fixtures here. We're coming towards the back end of the season, though, so hopefully I can get more prediction points here, and hopefully the league continues to treat us with what a great season has been so far. So hope it continues to deliver, continues to give us good games, and it'll keep these prediction videos very, very interesting. That being said, ladies and gents, if you did enjoy the video, please smash a like on it, subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more content like this, press the post notification bell as well so you know when I upload, and also share the channel with mates who would appreciate this type of content. That would be much appreciated. Thanks for all the recent support recently, guys. Make sure to join me. I'm doing the live watch along for Liverpool versus Man City this weekend. Can't wait for that game. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Enjoy the weekend's football action, and I'll see you guys in another video very, very soon. Until then, see you later.